and welcome back one and all to twitch.tv/Hive Esports games. It's been a while since the conclusion of the Hive Esports Teamfight Tactics series in its inaugural season, and now we are back with the Hive Esports League of Legends series, as you can see in the top left of your screen here, an Aram Mayhem 2v2 tournament on the cards here. So it's been a few weeks we're out of competition, but we are back for our second tournament, still in the Riot Games foray. But obviously the other side of the pond. This is, of course, if you've never been here before, is Hive Esports, trying to bring you the best in collegiate, semi-pro and amateur esports right here from the University of Chichester. So, George, we have got a League of Legends Aram Mayhem tournament on the cards this season for a few weeks. Why don't you go into some further details about what it's all about?
Well, Aram, if you don't already know, is a game mode in League of Legends. Basically, two teams face off against each other in one lane. So there's no other side lanes, it's just fight each other. The champions are all random, so you don't get to pick. It's you get it in the moment. So if you get a champion you don't know, you have to work with it. Adaptability. However, in Aram Mayhem specifically, you won't get runes and you will get given random augments at certain stages of the game, which adds a little bit more excitement, a little bit more like diversity, and a little bit more fun.
Definitely, and of course, not the typical Aram Mayhem. Of course, that's usually a 5v5 game mode. In League of Legends, of course, just 2v2. So that's going to add an extra flavor of action and sort of unfamiliarity, really, for a lot of our players. They'll have never played anything like this. In fact, probably not even seen anything really like this. But as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, 2 games on the cards today. 6 p.m., which is coming up in just a few seconds, will be Nat and Joe, name pending, and Team Ultimus will be our first game. And then 7 p.m. Svetlana Vizheshny, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, translates into Flowers in Autumn in the wonderful Slovenian language. And of course, Yaoi Addicts recovering to face off against them in round 1 of the round robin, which of course is part of a brand new tournament format, George.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for the 7 p.m. game if you want to see about that. But yeah, so for our current tournament, we will be doing a round robin format. Over the next 6 weeks, teams will play against each other, earning points based on the games they win. Each round will be 2 games, a best of 2. If you get 1 win, you get 1 point. If you get both wins, you get 3 points to try and limit any ties, specifically ties between 4th and 5th place, as 5th and 6th will be eliminated at the end of this competition. So after that, the top 4 teams will go into the semi-final and play against each other for the final, where the top 2 teams will face off against each other and try to win the coveted B trophy, which we don't have with us today because it's on holiday at the moment. It's still on holiday. It's having a break. But yeah, it will be here next week, so stay tuned for that.
Absolutely, and of course, this is our first time diving into League of Legends. We have seen some of these players before, the likes of Newt Silver, reigning Teamfight Tactics champion, of course. A few other players, Coco Slayer and Pastalover, are again joining forces in this series, in the Flowers in Autumn team, of course. But still, there are a lot of novel elements that we're going to see in such a new tournament format on a game that we've not seen everyone play. So with that in mind, week 1, round 1, what are we expecting to potentially see tonight?
That is very true. Like you mentioned, Nat being the #1 contender for last season, I suppose, winning the TFT tournament. And yeah, some familiar faces such as Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover. Hopefully gonna do a little bit better. Pasta Lover did pretty well. But right now we are going to go into Nat and Joe versus Team Ultimate, which are Piff and Entity. Starting off here, as we can see, Newt Silver with the Karma and Kami, Joe with the Ambessa. A little honorary flash. We like to do that in Aram Mayhem just to show a sign of sportsmanship. Not sure how much we're going to see of that this game, but hopefully the friendliness will continue. Getting off straight here early, Kami jumping on the Annie. Oh my god, Prismatic Augment, something to do with style. After hitting a champion 4 or 5 times, unlocks a Samira ultimate, which just shredded that Annie almost immediately. She couldn't do anything there.
Absolutely. Kami as Ambessa drawing first blood there. And so that is immediately going to put Kami and Newt Silver, Nat and Joe, on a 1-0 lead. They are the red team. And then Entity and Piff Team Ultimus will be Team Blue. Just under 2 minutes gone. It's 1-0 so far to Nat and Joe. And so far, it doesn't seem like too much PvP going on. It looks to be a lot of PvE mostly, econ gathering and such. Not actually too far removed from Teamfight Tactics in terms of what you would do in the early game. As we see, red team here, Nat and Joe with a slight econ advantage, 4,800 coins, now nearly 5,000. A few hundred behind our Team Ultimus here, but still very, very reserved for the time being.
Yeah, now you're not someone that's known to play League, are you? So
I've never played it in my life.
Little bit of, you know, education, I guess, a little bit of the little monsters are called minions, creeps, whatever, minions mainly. Killing those gives you gold, and getting gold allows you to buy items in the store when you back. However, in Aram, you can't recall unless you've died, where you get sent straight back to spawn, buy your items, blah, blah, blah. Getting that first kill from Kami will give Nat and Joe a little bit more gold to start off with, which is great. Gonna give them a little bit of an advantage, but however, it's not too skewed as they have to die to be able to go and get those items. So it's a little bit back and forwards. Hopefully going to be very dynamic. Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, definitely too interesting to see as well how the strategy is going to change. Of course, the 2v2, it tends to be, I think, quite a bit more reserved. The 5v5, as Aram usually is, I think there's usually always a couple of team members, from what I understand, always engaging in some sort of PvP fight to try and get those points on the board. But both teams here being very, very reserved, just trying to pick off as much gold as they can, nearing 7,000 now. For both teams, but of course they can't use that gold until they get knocked out. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see here how this goes. 4 minutes on the clock, still only the 1 kill, but now Kami finds themselves jumping in between Piff and Entity. The PvP now commencing. Kami jumps in, tries to potentially get a double kill there. Nothing going there for Kami that time. Entity and Piff doing more than enough to block off that particular attack here. And again, it just goes back to being a bit more reserved. Nat and Joe here trying to pick off some minions, try and get some more econ as the minions now continue to flood back in. But that was very energetic for all of 5 seconds here, but now it's gone back to being rather quiet.
Yeah, that was the Bessa ult. So if you see that line again, that means she's trying to, if she hits someone with it, she will dash to that, she will blink to them immediately. She'll just jump over there. But yeah, didn't get that Samira ult off, that little augment there, unfortunately. That would have been a lot of damage. But yeah, a really good fight from Kami, actually. Newt Silver adding some Karma Qs in the background, doing a lot of poke damage. That Q seems to be on a really low cooldown. But yeah, like you mentioned earlier with the engaging, this game is actually a really good example of this, where we have Kami and Entity on Pantheon and Bessa, who are bruiser, fightery champions, who are going to want to go into do their damage close melee range, whereas Karma and Annie, or Piff on Annie, they are mages. They want to poke, they want to like burst people down from a distance. So yeah, getting the engage from either a Kami or Entity first will be great for Piff and Newt Silver to, you know, do their damage without being under threat of being jumped on by someone from melee range.
Absolutely, and that's already why you've seen Kami and Entity be the main center of most of the combat so far. Did try and get some damage on Piff, did Kami, of course, Annie being a more squishy, long range champion here, and as you can see, Piff down to about 60% of his maximum HP at the moment, but still staying alive. It is just 1-0 so far to Nat and Joe. Over 6 minutes done, still very, very quiet. Early doors here, nearly 10,000 gold here for both Nat and Joe and for Team Ultimus here. So waiting to see who draws, well, I suppose, second blood, really, that one kill from Kami. So far, the only thing to separate these two teams at the moment. We'll see who blinks first and gets the other team to react and use that economy that they've spent a lot of time building up.
Yeah, Entity and Piff really don't want to go in for a fight, so they need to play the fight on their terms, like under the turret or something, as Kami and Nutsova just have a lot more damage and sustain than them at the moment. But as you can see, the gold is pretty much equal. Despite Kami having the first blood, Entity and Piff have managed to, you know, get that CS, get that farm, get the minions to be able to level out the gold, taking away the lead from Kami and Nutsova just a little bit. And as you can see, them having a little vibe in the Hive Esports spirits in that bush there. Hopefully one of them just starts, yeah, there we go, trying to kill each other.
There we go. It's all in good sport, but of course, all is fair in love and war. If you want to try and get a sneak attack off while you're busy being all friendly, I think that is all definitely allowed here. Nutsova, the first to reach level 11 here as well. A lot of levels up very, very quickly here for these guys. Everyone else level 10 now. Entity reaching level 11, but still very, very reserved as we creep towards the 10-minute mark here in this game. Still only 1-0 to Nat and Joe. Not much really to comment on at the moment, but as you mentioned, the Econ now leveling out. I think, was that an Ambessa ult, that line?
That was the
I'm
Ambessa
picking
ult.
things up already.
Yes,
there we
very
go.
quick.
8 minutes in the Ambessa ult. Nobody home though for Kami that time, so a bit of a waste, I would say, for now. But early doors, of course, and Kami does still have that first kill, so nothing to scoff at for the moment. But still, just rounding up that goal. I think Kami just tried to see if maybe get a cheeky second kill. I think a 2-0 lead would do Nat and Joe a world of good right now, but I think 1-0 lead is more than to be satisfied with at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely think once a few more kills start coming in, the game will move like considerably faster. Like I think it'll be over really quickly. If Kami gets another Ambessa ult off, that's going to be a lot of damage. As you can see now, they are level 11, level 12. So they're level 2 ultimates here. However, that Annie passive, after using 4 spells, her next spell stuns, and her ultimate is a large AoE. Just a large AoE that can stun, so potentially a lot of CC to shut down the Ambessa if she does jump on them. But she does have that sustain from Karma Shield and a lot of mobility and damage as well. A snowball there from Kami. Will he take it? No. Will. If you see a little snowflake icon above someone's head or a little white ball floating across the screen, or sometimes a big one in Aram Mayhem, that is a snowball. If a character hits an enemy minion with a snowball, they can dash to that target. So another long-range engage ability, pretty similar to the Ambessa ult.
Interesting. It's good to know. Thank you. I couldn't help but notice in the in-game chat, Nutsova, defending TFT champion, did come in saying, "How are you casters?" I, for one, am very, very excited to be kicking off this tournament. Wonderful beginning to the tournament here. Although a very slow start to Proceeders, I think that's how Nutsova found the time to type in chat to us. But very kind of her to ask. I'm doing well. How are you, George?
I'm doing well as well. A little bit tired. Had a long day. Just come off of a D&D session, which Nutsova was a part of, actually. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be back. Ready for some Aram Mayhem 2v2s in Hive, but yeah, hoping someone just like starts beating someone up at this point.
I was about to say, I am ready now. I've come back. Rush hour traffic was a nightmare. I'm ready now. I'm here. I'm ready to start calling some draws of blood. And still only 1-0. 10 minutes in now, we've ticked over here, but alas, we trust in the process here. These guys, they know what they're doing. And we're sure it's going to kick off as they see Piff and Nutsova. Now Entity jumping in 2v1 just as we said it here. And now Kami retaliating here as the camera focuses on him, but still nobody home and nobody even below 50% HP here. Nutsova still trying to get some rain damage to 2 squishies here, I suppose, of each respective team. Trying to get some chip damage on the other. So again, it all went off there for about 10 seconds and it's quieting back down. They were teasing us there
definitely
with a bit of a scrap.
Definitely playing the slow game here. Although it does seem to be working a little bit. As you can see, that turret is losing health, but here we go. Entity jumps on Newt Silver. Annie popping that ult to stun the Newt Silver. Can Kami come back and 1v2 Entity and Piff?
We'll see as now the scoreboard is level as they get that pick on Newt Silver. Kami now stunned. It's a double kill for Entity as Pantheon with a full team wipe, albeit maybe not as impressive in a 2v2, but a double kill impressive nonetheless. And that has massively turned the tide here. 2-1 to Team Ultimus as we cross the 12-minute mark in this game here to kick things off. And we'll see how Newt Silver and Kami will respond as now blue team, that is Team Ultimus, destroy Nat and Joe's first turret. That is some very, very good progress. You see the bottom right. Blue team beginning to make some real progress into red territory here. As now Kami looks to retaliate against Entity, does have the health advantage and shut down. Level terms now for Kami here. Yeah. Takes down Entity. It is 2-2 here now. We're now seeing some purchases going on here now that everyone has been taken out at least once. That econ is now going to start to be used here. Let's see, Piff making some quite a number of purchases here. Malignance, Rabadon's Death Cap, Shadow Flame, all words that I do not understand, but alas, I'm sure they'll be very helpful in due course. It's 2-2, and with one turret destroyed on either end of the battlefield, it is still anyone's game 13 minutes in here.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Kami coming back with that health advantage, with that item advantage. Entity just couldn't do anything about it. I mean, definitely tried. I think he popped a flash there to try to get out of it, or the Shaco dash, but looking to go in here on that low health Kami, trying to get a bit of poke off, but unfortunately just missing it.
Definitely, and now Newt Silver trying to get some chip damage on Entity, does level up in the process. Everyone up to level 16. We're just about at a quarter of an hour here in game 1 of round 1 of the Hive Esports League of Legends series, and Kami now jumping on Piff. Piff now taking some significant damage. Entity as Pantheon back to help. Entity does slay Kami. Now turns the tide of that fight. It's a double kill. And Team Blue, Team Ultimus double their advantage. 4-2 up here. And that is going to be a big, big win for Entity and for Piff. However, they have to be wary now. They are very low on health with very limited healing capability here. They have to be wary for a potential counter-attack, but they're trying to take down a second turret here. They're going to get it down to half, down to a quarter, and they will now take the lead on the turrets as well.
This is the inhibitor. If they take this inhibitor, they win the first game. And I think that the very first game goes to Piff and Entity.
Wow.
Like I mentioned, after the slow 5 minutes, it's just going to go like that. But yeah, very well done to Piff and Entity there. Unfortunately, Kami was just unable to get enough damage off on the Annie and the Pantheon in that fight. It was a little bit unfortunate, but very well played from Piff and Entity. Just played that slow game, got that money. Annie and Pantheon are both really good characters in the early game, so they do well with low items. However, Ambessa needs a few more to, do a little bit better and pop off a little bit further. But yeah, hopefully they can consider the champion picks a little bit more as they go into their second game.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it's not over for Nat and Joe just yet. They are still able to salvage a point out of this. Of course, any game in the league phase can be either a 1-1 draw or a 3-0 win. There'll be 3 points if you manage to sweep the stage. However, if you win one game each, you will each simply get a point to add to your points tally. So as things stand, it's 1-0 to Team Ultimus after a 4-2 win. In game number 1, we're going to be lobbying up very, very soon, of course, for game number 2. But definitely a slow start to that game. But as you mentioned, it very much popped off in those last 5 minutes or so. And eventually that last inhibitor was Nat and Joe's downfall there in the end. Any predictions, though, for game 2? Will we potentially see a comeback?
Ooh, hopefully we get to see some more out there champions. I know Nat is used to playing champions like Karma, and Kami used to playing champions like Ambessa. Same with, I'm not sure how comfortable Piff is on mages like Annie, but I know he likes assassins and people that fight, so maybe see something like that. But I do know Entity, I think he likes characters like Pantheon, like Bruiser fighters as well. A lot of Bruiser fighter players in this, so a little bit to look forward to. I would like to see Nat and Joe come back from in the second game. Um, However, I'm biased. I want to see a good game. I want to see a bit of backwards and forwards, a little bit of dynamic gameplay. But yeah, excited for the second game.
Definitely, it won't be too far now until we see who will take the first best of two in round one of the Hive Esports League of Legends Series. Team Ultimus did take it as blue team 4-2. So it was interesting as well. Kami took that first blood very early on
True.
as well, so it gave Nat and Joe a 1-0 lead very early on, but they couldn't quite capitalize on it despite having that early advantage. What do you think maybe was the difference maker that gave it to Team Ultimus in the end?
Yeah, well, they did get that early kill, but due to like all of the minions that Piff and Entity were getting, their gold just slowly crept up. And after that failed fight, they just were able to come back with their items and pop off a little bit harder. But again, like I mentioned earlier, Annie and Pantheon are able to do a lot more with less items as opposed to Ambessa, who needs a few more to pop off. Karma's all right with just a few items. I know she got that Malignance, which means she can cast her ultimate more, do those empowered abilities. But yeah, just unfortunately due to the minions, I don't think she was able to get that poke off. But yeah, well played from both teams though.
It definitely was well played. Of course, it's random champions, so they don't have much say in who they're going to play, and there's a high chance it's going to be someone they're not comfortable with. I think there's nigh on 200 champions in League of Legends, if I remember rightly. So chances of getting someone you're familiar with actually are fairly low.
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely adds an extra element of surprise, though. Though I will say, if you were one of these four players that we saw on the battlefield, of course, you play League of Legends, George.
Just
I
a
do
little
not, so I have no idea personally. But if you had the luxury of picking your champion going into these games, of course, bearing in mind it's not 5v5 Aram Mayhem, it's just 2v2.
Yeah.
What would you potentially pick?
Well, I myself am a Xayah main. Love Xayah. She's my queen. Love her. I have 300,000 mastery points on her, so it's not tons, but it's quite a lot. So if I got Xayah, I would definitely try to like get me on her, because like I play really, I'm really comfortable on her. I know how she works. I know that the enemies might not be too familiar with Xayah, as she hasn't played very much in normal games. Other than that, I quite like Katarina. I actually played in another 2v2 Aram tournament last year where I played against our lecturers Leon Rams as Katarina, and I absolutely popped off. So yeah, I would like that. Are there any champions that you're aware of at the moment? Or like, if you were playing a fighting game, is there any way that you would like to play specifically?
Well, the only champions I know are the ones that I just distinctly remember from TFT, which to be fair, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of overlap. I know Katarina. That much
Katarina,
I do know.
yeah.
Yes, no. Typically, if I'm playing a fighting game or something like that, I'm typically looking to just sort of go straight in, not really think too much.
Yeah.
I kind of just tend to jump straight in. If I'm ever playing like an Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, I'm always a tank.
Yeah.
I just want to be frontline. I want to start clicking buttons and hope it works, which it often doesn't because I'm not very good at video games. But
yeah,
it's okay.
I know a few characters come to mind, actually. There's a character called Dr. Mundo. There's a phrase that says, Mundo goes where Mundo pleases. And that just basically means he just walks around doing whatever the fuck he wants. Because he can, and you can't stop him, and it sucks. And there's also a character called Briar, who literally you press W, you go in. She does the rest for you. She crowd controls herself in a state called Berserk, but she gains attack speed, but you can't control her movement anymore. So, turn your brain off, press W. But yeah, I think we're going into our second game soon, if not in a few seconds. But yeah, hopefully we can see a couple of those characters in the next game.
Have to wait and see here. Game 2 of Nat and Joe versus Team Ultimus here for the Hive Esports League of Legends series here. Of course, Team Ultimus do lead 1-0 here after a 4-2 win in game number 1. And the colours will switch. So Nat and Joe are now Team Blue, Team Ultimus are now Team Red. We'll see if Piff and Entity can start off with a strong game here. They'll all start in the center of the map here. Minions have spawned. So this will be how everyone starts to get some economy, some gold to eventually make those purchases once the game does kick off. But I think we're going to roughly see more of the same here. The first 10 minutes or so probably going to be quite slow as everyone just looks to get their bearings somewhat. Maybe I lied. Newtsilver going straight in on Piff there. Entity retaliates as Piff gets immediately rooted there by Newtsilver. So that is immediately going to do some damage to everyone of varying degrees. Piff with the most damage done at the moment finds himself around 80% of his max HP there. So that is quite the sneak attack there from Newtsilver. Quite on the contrary to the slow start that we saw last game. And again, Newtsilver trying to potentially get some long-range chip damage with that railgun looking thing that she may be wielding. Trying to see what she can do. And again, Newtsilver and Piff now. Entity jumping in. This looks to be a way more active start to the game than before. 2 minutes in, they're still yet to draw first blood as the minions still going at it, though. It seems to be Team Ultimus with the slight advantage here. As they have a 200 gold lead at the moment. And again jumping in, Newtsilver may well lose out here, and does. Entity, as Nafiri, does get first blood. It is 1-0 to Team Ultimus. So again, one team takes a lead early on here in the first couple of minutes, drawing first blood, and has a massive economy advantage as well, nearly 1,000 coins in front. But of course, Entity now quite low on health, has to be wary, but it's 1-0 to Team Ultimus.
Yeah, Entity is playing the Fury. She's very divey. She wants to go in. Same as Trundle. Trundle thrives in long fights. So the longer he's in that fight, the better he's going to do. So definitely going to need to be chipped out more to stop him from being able to fight long in those fights. But similarly to Ambessa, Neferi has a point-and-click dash. So if an enemy is within range, she can literally click on them with her ultimate and she'll just dash straight to them. But she does also have her E, which makes her jump in. So she does want to engage a lot. Yeah, so she can fight a lot while in. Kami is playing a character called Zed. He's a pretty mechanically difficult champion. So hopefully we can see some like faker plays here. But he's an assassin. He wants to get in, he wants to get out, which I'm not sure how well it's going to fare against Neferi and Trundle, but I hope that with some of the augments, we can see some cool gameplay. And Newtsilver here on the Senna, really long range, definitely going to be good at getting the poke to make sure that the Trundle and the Neferi can't stay in for very long, but she does also have some sustain on her Q and her ultimate with a bit of healing and a bit of shielding, so they will be able to survive in the lane a lot longer. However, Senna is an infinitely scaling character, so she kind of lacks in power early game, but makes up for it in the late game. So they will want to stall in the late game. But as we can see here, Entity with that point-and-click dash on the Newtsilver, just almost made it out alive, but got the kill on the Entity. Kami versus Piff here, dueling it out with their auto attacks with all of their abilities on cooldown.
And it's going to be just about, it's going to actually stall out here with both of them on very, very low health. Kami, though, does get a sneak attack off, and it is so low health, but it's going to be Entity taking out, or Kami, sorry, getting the double kill there on Entity and on Piff there. So now 2-all. It is all square here, just inside 5 minutes, but no turrets destroyed as of yet. It's been all just drawing blood at the moment. In this first 5 minutes, Kami here on very, very low health has got to be very wary as Entity again gets rooted here. Newtsilver with that Senna really beginning to immobilize Team Ultimus quite a lot here, and a shutdown there by Entity as Neferi, as we've seen now 3-2 ahead. Team Ultimus, they may well be on their way to a 3-0 sweep here. We'll have to wait and see that they are making some good progress, but yet to destroy any turrets at the moment, as Newt Silver now back near spawn near the first turret.
Yeah, Newt Silver unable to do anything by herself, unfortunately, so just got to wait for that Zed to come back into play. But yeah, making herself untargetable there to avoid the Nefiri ult, very well played. But yeah, that fight a minute ago was very well played from both of them. They managed to get that Nefiri out in exchange for the Senna dying as well, but excellent faker play from Kami, actually. Hitting that snowball and then going in and then just managing to get that auto attack off before the Trundle could like use any abilities or auto attacks, and just doing enough damage to kill him before he could get killed by Trundle. But yeah, obviously getting shut down does give the enemy team a little bit more gold. As we can see, they're about 400 gold ahead, and I know that shutdown definitely didn't help with that, but yeah.
Absolutely. So it's still 3-2 to Team Ultimate, and with a slight econ advantage as well there. 11,000 coins, of course, as all the players have gone down at least once in this game. They have started to make some purchases in the shop while they've been respawning, but still a lot of gold to spare here. Everyone sits at level 10 here. Piff and Entity having a little dance there near their first turret, just waiting for the engagement to start back up again. Piff and Entity now are going to jump in. Piff in between Nat and Joe here. Newt Silver now retaliating with a massive long-range attack there from Senna. Piff and Entity have to retreat here. Entity now below half here. Kami jumping on Entity, trying to capitalize it. Entity now very low, does get the pick now all square here, and it's a 2v1 against Piff here. This could be a big turning point here, as now Piff gets rooted there again by Newt Silver. Some more chip damage there, but nothing they can do. Soon enough, Entity will rejoin the fray and make this more of an even fight, but Nat and Joe able to draw back level here. Some more damage though onto Piff, and half of the turret's max health there as well, also depleted, as Entity does now jump back in.
Yeah, very, very well played from Newt Silver and Kami there. That Neferi tried to walk up to maybe get an ult on the Senna, but Senna E makes her invisible, basically. So she can't be targeted, which makes it difficult for the Neferi to go in, because if she can't click on the Senna, then she can't engage on the Senna. And then Kami just like spinning on the Neferi in the back there, like getting under the turret, ulting the Neferi, getting that stored up damage that the Z ult provides, and then just leaving, knowing that it would execute her without having to stay under turret. So yeah, very, like, really well played indeed.
Definitely, and that is enabled Nat and Joe to come back to a 3-all draw here, potentially trying to take this game to a 1-all draw and get themselves a single point to start off Season 1 here of the Hive Esports League of Legends series. Piff down to about 60% health, has to be quite wary here of Senna in particular, with that long-range damage could do some rather debilitating chip damage here, but as we near the 10-minute mark, still no turrets destroyed, although Team Ultimate's first turret is down to about 25% of its max HP, and I think Newt Silver Senna is trying to do some chip damage to the turret from long range, but now that is going to be Entity charging Newt Silver at a rate of knots here, and that's going to almost completely wipe out Newt Silver, and it does. Piff gets the pick now, and it's a 2v1 against Kami here. Kami trying to retaliate against Piff, but nothing going there, and that is going to put Team Ultimates back in front 4-3 here, with a 200 coin advantage as well, just as we reach 10 minutes on the clock, and that could well be a decision, difference maker between these two. As we saw, the last game ended 4-2 to Team Ultimates. It's now 4-3 to Team Ultimates in game 2 as well, but no turrets destroyed as of yet, so still a while to go.
Yeah, Neferi finding that ult on the Senna there, just being able to burst her down, but the Trundle disrupting them, so being unable to engage back on them. A good defense from Zed, defending that turret, making sure it doesn't take too much damage. Yeah, so the game will go on. Hopefully, though, Newt Silver will come back with some items and a little bit more power to be able to poke them out a little bit more. However, she does have the advantage of if there are minions or enemies in front of the turret, she can cue them from like really far away and just like poke that turret down bit by bit. So definitely playing that long game. As Senna is a highly the more souls she gets, which are those little like green balls that appear every now and then. I'm not sure if you've seen those. They give her souls, and those souls give her attack, they give her crit, and eventually give her a bit of range. Entity ulting on the Z there, but pressing W, mitigating the damage from the Z ult, getting in the backline, but skirmishing that's Neferi in the backline, just killing each other at the same time. Really well played. Making sure that the Neferi can't come back on that Newt Silver, but Neferi making sure that like the Z can't do anything against the Trundle, but Newt's over here just being able to poke out the Trundle, as Trundle can't really engage too well on the Senna, as she has really good means of escape, but Trundle lacking the mobility and hard CC to lock her down.
Absolutely. See now, rooted again. Newt Silver's been brutal with that crowd control there, keeping them absolutely immobilized here in that trade between Entity and Kami is what enables Team Ultimus to stay in front at the moment, but we're now seeing a lot of levels coming up here. Now that turret, the first turret for Team Ultimus looking particularly weak at this moment. Nat and Joe looking to capitalize on any advantage they can get, being one kill down at the moment. 5-4 to Team Ultimus as it runs again. Rooted here is Piff as Trundle here, but no body home for Newt Silvers herself. Starting to get quite low on HP, down to about 25%, does heal a little bit, but still nobody home again, trying to get some long range damage here. Rooted again, so that CC really working well for Newt Silver, but unable to capitalize at the moment. Now Piff jumping on Newt Silver. Entity in tow. Newt Silver now very, very low on HP, and Entity does get the pick on Newt Silver. It's now 2v1. Kami is in all kinds of trouble, but does get the pick on Entity to keep Nat and Joe in it. Can he get the team wipe against the Trundle here? Kami at the health disadvantage, and that fight is going to potentially stall out. Still some blows being thrown here, but Kami with the extra mobility is, I think, going to survive this one. 6-5 to Team Ultimus, as now they again re-engage here. Piff doing some significant damage to Kami, but Newt Silver now back as Sene here into the middle of the battlefield. Now 2v1 in favor of Nat and Joe here, and Team Ultimus are forced to retreat with that turret perilously low on HP.
Yeah, Kami just running around, probably with either Giant Slayer or Mad Scientist. Neferi ult, but getting blocked by his own Trundle W. Just unable to finish the engage, but Neferi with that range Q finishing off the Z. Nusova unable to oh no, using the Shaco Deceive to get away from the Trundle. Will he get it under? Yes, just under turret. Getting the kill, giving him that shield and movement speed, probably from one of the augments that he got, pushing this wave to get that turret, as both Zed and Senna have over 10 seconds of death timers.
And that is going to be a big advantage for Team Ultimus. They begin to wipe out a lot of Nat and Joe's minions and potentially going to start working on that turret, and they do. And Team Ultimus draw first blood on the turrets here as they lead 8-6 over Nat and Joe. Kami now engaging Piff. Piff very low on HP here. It's now a 2 versus 1. Shut down is Piff here, as now it's a 2v1. Entity forced to retreat here under the turret, which itself is super low on HP. Maybe the only means by which Nat and Joe can draw level, but as it stands, it's all Team Ultimus with an extra turret destroyed and an extra kill on the board. Newt Silver unable, alongside Kami, to get that pick, but they do destroy Team Ultimus's first turret and can now start potentially working on that second turret as they advance further into red territory here. They do get some chip damage on Entity as well, just to put Team Ultimus's backs against the wall just a little bit longer. Piff still immobilized at spawn. It's a 2v1. But as of right now, Kami, Newt Silver unable to capitalize. Entity does jump in. Will that pay dividends for Entity? No, it will not. Very low on HP. Can't quite get the pick though. And Newt Silver eventually does get the pick. It's now 8-8, all level here. And now Piff all on his lonesome here by the second turret. And already Nat and Joe have started to work on that second turret, down to about 75% of its max HP.
Yeah, it really looks like it could go either way at the moment. The Trundle flashing on the Senna, just getting that damage off, but Trundle gaining... Oh, I don't know what the augment's called, but I'm pretty sure it's when he ults, he gains like Omnivamp, move speed, health, and a fat shield. Just like overpowering them completely. It really looked like it would be anyone's game for a second, but Piff has just pushed them into a corner. Like, while their turret is low, the Neferi's gonna be back way before the Senna is. So they just have free pushing ability, and especially if they get that Z, then Senna will be really easy for them to get, especially with the Neferi being able to engage from so far away. Like we mentioned, jumping on the Z there, using her W to escape the turret shot and reusing her ult. Just too much damage for them to deal with at this stage of the game, and I fear this is a second win for Piff and Entity.
They lead by 3 kills. They lead by a turret, and they're now taking down that inhibitor. It is going to be a clean sweep for Team Ultimus, 11-8 in Game 2, and it is going to finish Team Ultimus 3, Nat and Joe 0 in the first game of the first round of the Hive Esports League of Legends Aram Mayhem series. A very, very impressive victory. A very impressive endgame there from Team Ultimus to get ahead by 3 picks and immediately destroy that last turret and the last inhibitor at the same time with a very clean double kill right at the end. What do you make of that?
Yes, yes. It was a really good game, to be fair, and it got really close, especially towards the end. The Senna Z worked really well. We got to see some really amazing plays there, but unfortunately, just a little bit of a counter pick from the Neferi, just being able to jump on the Senna to nullify her damage and like prevent her from scaling too well. But yeah, a good game indeed. Very much more dynamic than the first game. We got to see a lot of backwards and forwards, again, very close towards the end. That second turret for Piff and Entity got really close. So potentially if they had pushed a little bit more, or if, I don't know, they got Piff earlier, or I'm 6-7ing here, but sorry. But yeah, very close indeed, but fear not, they still have 3 more games to play. Not today, but later down the line. So they're still, what, they can still get 9 points. But yeah, we will have to see. However, stay around for a while, as Sveti Vigenseni versus Yaoi Addicts is coming up at 7 p.m. So stick around and find out how that goes.
and welcome back to twitch.tv/Hive Esports games for round 1 of the Hive Esports League of Legends series Aram Mayhem tournament. Game 1 has just concluded with Nat and Joe unfortunately falling foul to a clean sweep from Team Ultimus. So for now, Team Ultimus find themselves uncontested at the top of the table to kick off the league phase in round 1. But 7 PM has just ticked over, meaning we have Game 2 on our hands. Now it's a best of 2 bout between Svetia Vizheshny and Yaoi Addicts Recovering. For those of you unfamiliar who didn't catch the start of the stream, Svetia Vizheshny translates into Flowers of Autumn, or Flowers in Autumn, in Slovenian. So we'll see if those flowers will bloom today, or whether they will fall foul to the Yaoi Addicts, Recovering Yaoi Addicts, as they market themselves. We'll have to wait and see as of right now. But that team, or these teams actually do include multiple players that we've seen during the Hive Esports Teamfight Tactics series, so we are somewhat familiar with their skill set. What are you potentially expecting to see out of this bout?
Well, I am expecting quite the battle from Flowers in Autumn versus Recovering Yaoi Addicts. Some great names, by the way. I'm hoping for a very fun, dynamic game. We have a lot of fun people in this game. Obviously, our returning players, Pasalava, Coco Slayer, and Extra Thick in Yaoi Addicts. Coco Slayer, Paslava in Sveti Vizhenseny. Leave a comment if we're saying that right. If not, slander us, drag us, like tell us off, okay?
Yeah.
Any press is good press. But yeah, I'm expecting some fun games. I'm hoping for like a little bit more action, hopefully. A little bit more fighting, a little bit more silly, fun, goofy whimsy. Bring back the whimsy. Bring back the whimsy.
Yes.
The Hive Esports special, okay? The whimsy. Bring back the whimsy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
I am very much looking forward to this. I saw this on the fixture list on the schedule. I was immediately very excited because these are my 2 favorite team names.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I think far and away my 2 favorite team names. I mean, Nat and Joe is sort of a name pending.
Yeah.
They signed up today, so they're a name pending. But so far, I would say Flowers in Autumn is a beautiful name.
Yeah.
Yaoi Addicts Recovering is a name. It's a team name. One of the team names of all time.
Progressing in life.
Yeah, they're progressing. They're recovering.
Recovering.
That is one of the team names. But no,
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Of course, we're familiar with all 4 of these players in one way or another. Of course, Pastelova and Coco Slayer were very strong in TFT. Extra Thick as well. And Yaoi Addict we saw during the Week 10 double up finals.
We did, yeah.
So we have seen all these 4 in action in some capacity during these games. So very excited to see how they fare in the 2v2 Aram Mayhem. Of course, very far removed from TFT. But if we get a quick prediction from you, George, who do you think is going to come out on top? If anyone comes out on top, of course, it could end in a draw.
Well, I'm definitely not, but maybe biased, as Yaoi Addicts has my partner and my best friend. So, but obviously, Sveti Vizhenseny, I want to win just because they're funky. I love those guys, you know, biggest Hive supporters over there, okay? Yeah. It's actually a really stacked game, to be honest. We've got some good league players, some old league players, some returning league players. Obviously, we've got our TFT players. Pastelova did really well in the TFT tournament. Extra Thick, I think, came 4th or 5th, something like that. Placed highly. But yeah, I'm expecting some good games.
We definitely are expecting some good games, and Game 2 is about to kick off. Svetia Vizheshny and Yaoi Addicts Recovering are going to go head-to-head here in Game 2 of Round 1 of the Hive Esports League of Legends Aram Mayhem series in just a few moments' time. We'll see. I think I'm going to go, just to be a contrarian, because you picked Yaoi Addicts to win, so I'm going to go for Svetia Vizheshny to win this one. Just be a contrarian. Throw my hat into the ring as well, but there you go. So on the left-hand side, in the blue, Svetia Vizheshny, Flowers in Autumn are in the blue, and Yaoi Addicts Recovering with Yaoi Addict and Extra Thick in the red. As we tick over towards the 1-minute mark, as a reminder, if you didn't catch it, Team Ultimus took down Nat and Joe in a 3-0 sweep here just a moment ago to put themselves top of the table. So of course, if either one of these two are able to complete a sweep, that would put them tied top of the table after round number 1. But we'll have to wait and see how this game progresses here.
Yeah.
Pastelova and Coco Slayer and Yawed, they're all much like game 1, very much keeping to themselves early on.
Yeah. Pastelova throwing that hook out from Thresh. Both teams are pretty similar here. We have 2 ADCs and 2 engaged tanks. So that's like an average, well, not an average bot lane, because you don't see Cassante there, but very similar. But yeah, Yunara, Cassante on Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict, and Ezreal and Thresh on Coco Slayer. Pastelova hitting that hook and dragging them in. But good for the Cassante. The Cassante wants to go in. He wants to be fighting. He does lots of damage considering he's a tank. Extra Thick getting poked down by the Ezreal there and getting hooked by the Pastelova, but just escaping with his life. 2 health. But yeah, very well played from Pastelova and Coco Slayer. Yaoi Addicts just escaping on the edge there. Yaoi Addict managing to keep them off just a little bit. Another hook from Pastelova there, pulling the Cassante in, but the Cassante goes in. Extra Thick securing that kill on the Thresh. A quicker game than last game. There's a lot of gameplay going on here.
So they were very quick to engage. Extra Thick draws first blood against Pastelova, and that puts Coco Slayer in quite the predicament here, as now some damage is done to that turret. Not a lot, mind you, but chipping away at Flowers and Autumn's turrets here. So we'll have to wait and see. Coco Slayer on about half HP, Extra Thick being able to escape with his life there, as you mentioned, just a slither of HP, but able to get back, able to get a portion of that back with some heals. Has absolutely saved Yaoi Addicts recovering there, and they will now find themselves 1-0 up in the early going here, which could make all of the difference here, as immediately re-engaging now. Yaoi Addict does take a bit of damage there, down to about 20%. It's Coco Slayer delivering some very solid long-range damage there, and is on full HP, so you'd have to imagine Pastelova will be the main source of attack this time around for Flowers in Autumn. And now Yaoi Addict down to just a single slither of HP, hiding behind the turret. Pastelova trying to get any angle possible, but Yaoi Addict, I think, just able to escape just for the moment, but still. Pastelova and Coco Slayer very much on the offensive. Another hook from Pastelova may well get it done. Extra Thick just on a slither of health, and Pastelova does get the pick to draw level here. And now Yaoi Addict hiding behind the turret, waiting for Extra Thick to come back into play in about 10 seconds time. Does go invisible, but now some big damage being done to that turret. And Yaoi Addict on just a slither of help is going to get taken down. It's now 2-1 to Flowers in Autumn. But now Yaoi Addict slays Pastelova in retaliation. Now 2-2 here, albeit that red turret has started to take some decent damage. Extra Thick though now forcing Coco Slayer to retreat here now on the offensive here, as Yaoi Addict is going to respawn now. Pastelova in just a couple of seconds, and immediate swings and roundabouts in the start of this first match of game 2 here, and it ends up 2-2 at the moment here, but absolutely not shying away from the fight, any of these guys.
Yeah, Ezreal there, Coco Slayer with that Poro Fluffed or Poro Stack, whatever it's called. After a short while, it stacks up a bunch of Poros, and after hitting an ability or auto attack, it will send all of those Poros flying at them, dealing max health true damage, and knocking them back a little bit, which can make for some pretty funky combos. So whenever you see some Poros flying over the screen, Coco Slayer has hit them. There we go, just there. Hit them with an ability. Won't affect the Yunara too much, as she doesn't have that much health, but as it does I think 3% max health true damage, it's gonna do about 15% of Yaoi Addict's health at a time. And being a tank, that is quite crucial. He wants that health to survive, to be in that fight. Yaoi Addict going in on the Pastelova there. Extra Thick popping the ult, but missing the empowered W, leaving Flowers in Autumn pretty low health.
We'll have to wait and see whether Flowers in Autumn can do anything to respond to that. They are somewhat ill-prepared with their current HP situation, but equally unable to back down from the fight. Their turret is under attack here. Pastelova now with another hook to Yaoi Addict, does stun momentarily, but unable to do much with it. Extra Thick down to fairly low health here. Another stun from Pasta Lover, making good use of that hook to immobilize their opponent, but unable to do anything at the moment, and it will remain 2-all. And the blue team turret does remain firmly intact, as does the red team turret. It is pretty much as even as it gets here, 6.5 minutes into this initial bout here. But no one shying away. We'll see if Pasta Lover can land another hook. We saw it, but does retract with nobody home. As things are beginning to quieten down. No one quite prepared for a fight just yet, but no one able to back down. It's only a 2v2. So everyone is constantly in the fight, no such hanging back. And a lot of sort of faint hits being thrown by both sides here, but none of them really landing. Pasta Lover does get a stun though on Extra Thick. Extra Thick now forced to retreat on very low health. Now just a slither of health, but Yowie Addict does get the pick on Coco Slayer, and that is going to save Extra Thick there on just a slither of health. And Yowie Addict potentially looking for a team wipe here now, as Pasta Lover is very low. Does get it done. Cassante tears through Fouls in Autumn, and that is going to be a big double kill for Yowie Addict. Now 4-2 to Yowie Addicts recovering here, and they're going to start to work on that blue team turret here.
Not before getting the heal and the execute for that immediate back to be able to get some items. It's a little strat in Aram where if you kill your... Well, sorry, probably can't say that. If you catch yourself under the turret after not taking damage for a while, you can execute yourself and just get a free recall without giving the enemy team any gold. But you do sacrifice a little bit of turret damage for that. But Pasta Lover getting another hook on Yowie Addict, getting pushed back by those porals, but just managing to get a short escape there. Coco Slayer with the upgraded Collector, going to be giving them a lot of gold and a little bit more damage. Yeah.
I'll have to wait and see if Yowie Addict can respond. Of course, Extra Thick being out of the foray with that self-execution there on the turret, of course, strategic there. Did leave Yowie Addict somewhat vulnerable there. And as you can see, Yowie Addict down to about 20% max HP here. Now tries to go in, but is immediately shut down there by Coco Slayer. However, Extra Thick does respond in kindness now. 1v1 Pasta Lover with the hook. Does stun Extra Thick. Does have the health advantage. Extra Thick, I think, is going to be forced to retreat here, but still 5-3 to Yowie Addicts. They've done well there to maximize that situation, forcing the retreat from Pasta Lover here. Extra Thick advancing despite having less HP. I think Pasta Lover waiting for Coco Slayer. Does have to wait now another 5 seconds here. Yowie Addict does now respawn, and a first turret blow there. Blue turret destroyed. That puts red team there. Yowie Addict has a massive advantage. Pasta Lover does get the pick on Extra Thick there to bring the advantage down to just 1 point. But that one turret advantage for Team Red, Yowie Addicts, is going to be massive for them. You'd have to imagine in this first game, and now things are going to start to quieten down. Everyone's on full health with Poros blocking the way and whatnot. It seems as if Yowie Addicts are now more than happy to sit back and let the game come to them with the advantage that they have. And it's now 2v1. Extra Thick nowhere really to be seen here now. Does come into the fray. However, they do even up on the turrets there with a red turret now destroyed here. A 2v2. Yowie Addicts briefly stunned there, now airborne. But now 2v1 though, getting somewhat ganked. Extra Thick though does come into the foray. And immediately everyone's down to very low HP. Extra Thick does take down Pasta Lover. And it's now 2v1. Can Coco Slayer do anything about it? Absolutely not. Another team wipe there for Yowie Addicts. Now 3 kills in front, 7-4. And are going to start working on that second turret.
Yeah, potentially even like if they can push this an insanely quick game. Pasta Lover on almost 5 seconds until they get back, but I think he'll just be able to get back in time to nudge them off the turret. So I'm not sure if they're going to get that inhibitor right away, but yeah, it was a very close fight. As many League players will know, Cassante likes to just, you know, walk all over people and survive, and that's exactly what he did in this fight. He just would not die, survived on like 2 health, and a small fight ensues here. Unfortunately, Yowie Addicts have a small advantage due to Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover being fresh off that back with their items, full health. But leaving that fight with a little bit less health than they want, probably. They want to be full health and ready for this next fight. But they're gonna take those heals, gonna take them heals to deny them from Yaoi addicts, but also give themselves a little bit more health before the next battle.
And that could be definitely a means of starting to claw back that advantage. Extra Thick, though, is starting to put a dent in the efforts of Flowers in Autumn here to get that second turret. Yaoi Addict and Extra Thick immediately pushing back here. The Poros, though, for Coco Slayer, starting to halt Yaoi Addict's advance here, but not for very long here. 7-6 is the current score in favor of Yaoi Addicts recovering here, as well as an extra turret. They're making good work on that blue team inhibitor as Coco Slayer and Pastelava are forced to retreat here. And Yaoi Addicts continue to advance here with Extra Thick as well in tow. Coco Slayer down to about 60%. Coco Slayer and Pastelava just trying to do chip damage here. Pastelava does miss the hook now. Can Yaoi Addict capitalize? Extra Thick doing more range damage here. Pastelava down to 50%. And now Pastelava in some big trouble there. 2v1 as Pastelava is now out of the game for 30 seconds after getting ganked and taken out there by Yaoi Addicts, and they're starting to work on that inhibitor down to half HP, and this could well be a game 1 victory for Yaoi Addicts recovering. They are going to take down that inhibitor just in the nick of time here, and they are going to win game 1, take the lead in this first best of 2, 8 kills to 6. And that is a first win of the series for Yaoi Addicts recovering.
Yeah, potentially one of the quickest, the quickest game of the series so far, and potentially one of the quickest overall. Under 13 minutes, definitely really quick. So yeah, very well played from both teams. It was a very dynamic game due to those thresh hooks and the Cassante going in. So it was very good backwards and forwards, but unfortunately, Flowers and Autumn just lacked that tank killing ability to get rid of that Cassante, as he just like kept staying alive and just would not die. But unfortunately, there's not much on Ezreal or Thresh that you can do to take those tanks out. So they kind of just gave that Yunara the space to get her auto attacks off, which she really wants to do, as the more auto attacks, more damage, etc. But yeah, very well played from both teams. It was way more dynamic than the last game, so that was really interesting to see. So hopefully we can see some more of that in the next game when that comes up.
Yeah, it was really good to see. I think action was a lot more immediate on the off. As the first game between Nat and Joe and Team Ultimus, they were very much sort of farming at the beginning, just thinking econ, taking it very slow for the first sort of almost 10 minutes. It stayed 1-0 until right near the very end, but that game finished 8-4, 8-5 to Yaoi Addicts recovering, and it was first blood right from the off, and they were immediately thinking to get those 2 turrets, get that inhibitor, and to get the picks by any means necessary. Pastelava, despite losing out in that game, obviously looked very lethal with that hook, was getting a lot of stuns off as well, so looked very potent with that crowd control, so definitely something to look out for. If Pastelava is able to get another CC champion, potentially an avenue for them to take advantage of. Of course, it is all random. It's up to luck of the draw, which makes it so interesting. Augments as well. Of course, there's over 200 champions, or nearly 200 champions, really, to not really pick from. To be given, it's you may as well throw a dartboard with a blindfold on. So definitely. But with that said, game 2 will be coming up fairly shortly to, of course, round off week 1 of the series. It's been good so far, I would say. George, what are we expecting out of this final game?
Well, if a Pastelava, like you mentioned, gets another CC champion, that could be quite dire for the recovering Yaoi addicts. As we saw, those hooks were really good. Had they been on the Yunara, or if the Cassante was a squishier champion or someone that didn't enjoy being in those fights more, the hooks may have been a little bit more useful, but he was hitting them hooks, and it's like, I can't fault him for that. But unfortunately, a little bit of like a matchup difference there. But again, can't really predict what they're going to be playing due to the random nature of Aram and Aram Mayhem. But it's for the love of the game. It's like, it's not gambling, but it's close enough. Yeah.
So yeah, that is going to be the end of game 1. Game 2 should be starting fairly shortly. Of course, it's not as big of a break. Everyone is still in the lobby, so I'll be transitioning shortly, but are we going to get a game 2 of game 2 prediction from you, George, as we've got a little bit of downtime? Of course, you were correct in your prediction the first time. Yowie Addicts did end up coming out on top. Are we predicting potentially a second sweep of the night, a sweep of sweeps, if you will?
I fear we like streamer cursed
Hmm.
Flowers in Autumn again, because
I've done.
every game last in the TFT series, we just kept streamer cursing them, and I feel really bad.
Hmm.
So maybe if I say Yowie Addicts again, I'll streamer curse them instead, and it will give Flowers in Autumn a little bit more of a chance, a little bit of a luckier draw from champions and augments. So I'm going to say Yowie Addicts again in hope that I curse them.
I think I'm going to go the same direction to try and cancel out the streamer curse, the caster curse that we saw
Caster curse, not streamer curse.
in the Team Fight Tactics series. Of course, we spoke very highly of Pasta Lover and Coco Slayer, and luck seldom went their way in that series, thanks to us, I think. But alas, I'm going to go for Yowie Addicts Recovering just to try and balance out that caster curse. Of course, they do lead by a game to nil at the moment in the 7 p.m. bout against Flowers in Autumn. So as things stand, it'll be Yowie Addicts Recovering and Team Ultimus at the top of the pile. Nat and Joe and Flowers in Autumn will be bringing up the rear. At the moment, of course, Seal 9 and Grompies are other two teams. They will feature in week 2, but they are, of course, yet to play. The way this works, as George may have mentioned before, of course, is that each team will only play 4 games in the 6-week league phase. So they will all have 2 off weeks. That way they all play each other an even amount of times without having one team or a handful of teams playing more or less games. So while we don't like having teams miss weeks because it's less action, it's about the only way it could work with the 6-team format. And I think it's going to bring about a lot of action. I think a lot of rejuvenated players as well, because they're going to want to get in on the action, get in on the foray here. You know, Grompies and Seal 9, they're on the sidelines. They may well be watching us on Twitch, and we're talking about them getting that fire in the belly to come and kick some butt in week number 2. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll be transitioning very, very shortly into the second game. But
yeah, they definitely should be scouting, especially in the game that's coming up right now, as they want to know what their opponents are playing to obviously kick them in the butt, as we've mentioned. But yeah.
And so kicks off game number 2 of match number 2 here in week 1 of the Hive Esports Aram Mayhem series here. As we see now, Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover, they make up Sveti Visheshini, also known as Flowers in Autumn here on the blue side. Yowie Addict and Extra Thick will make up the red side here. Yowie Addicts Recovering, their official team name. So unlike in the first game, they retain their sides of the board. They do not switch between red and blue. And so we now wait as the seconds tick by, the minions spawn in, and they waddle over towards the center of the battlefield. Coco Slayer pleading for some waiting.
3-minute Cassante tutorial. Well, I mean, pick up from the last game, you know?
Yeah.
I got to see Yowie Addict playing him last game, but Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover here, both with either Goliath or Mad Scientist, making them massive, which works well for Yowie Addict here with either Giant Slayer or not Yowie Addict, with Mad Scientist, which if it's Giant Slayer, kind of crazy, because if it's not the obvious already, Giant Slayer, the bigger they are, the more damage you do to them, and that's what also makes them really small and really fast. But yeah, Yowie Addict here on Camille, with Extra Thick here on Caitlyn, with Cassante from last game, and Set. And if you haven't seen me play, then, or if you have seen me play, sorry, you'll know that my tag is Set Rider for no particular reason, but I'm a Set lover. But Yowie Addict getting caught off here by the Set and Coco Slayer engage, but just making out with their life. That little skinny being there, Set missing that grab on Extra Thick, but Extra Thick, I think with Tap Dancer, just the more auto attacks he does, the faster he gets, and it just won't stop until he stops auto attacking. So a very speedy team against a very big, slow team.
Definitely quite the contrast to see two massive giants against two squishies, but of course each has their pros and their cons, and right now no one is on a great deal of health. In fact, no one even above half it. In fact, Pasta Lover and Yaoi Addict are really sort of on their last breath here. And now Coco Slayer is going to try and jump in on the pair of them. Everyone is down to low health, and it's an immediate 2-0 lead for Flowers in Autumn. A double kill for Coco Slayer as Cassante, that 3-minute Cassante tutorial right at the start, evidently pulling through. And that is going to be a massive win there, although Pasta Lover does fall to the first turret there. The first turret is going to go down to about 50% HP as Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover are going to start to make some purchases, as they have actually both fallen, having been taken out by the turret. Of course, only 1 point credited to the red team for that, as one of those kills was not done by them, but rather an inanimate object, of which they are trying to defend, in case you haven't been following. The two turrets and the final inhibitor at the end of the battlefields are what decides who wins this game. The first to destroy their opponent's two turrets and inhibitor. That is the ultimate win condition, so it is not down as much to kills like you see in the top center of your screen, although you do see Flowers and Autumn leading by 2 kills to 1 over Yaoi Addicts. But if Yaoi Addicts right now were to turn around and destroy all 2 turrets plus the inhibitor, they'd win the game. So, albeit that would be very difficult in their current situation. So it is not really about the kills, but of course the more you can get, the easier life gets for you in destroying those turrets and inhibitors. Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover now getting themselves back up to full health and just trying to push in any way they can against Extra Thick and Yaoi Addicts, but holding firm are Yaoi Addicts recovering, and they are staying firm, potentially looking to advance against blue territory here and start to do some damage on Flowers in Autumn's first turret. Still in something of a stalemate at the moment. No one really making a big jump into the backline or anything like that just yet.
Yeah, and going. Well, I know it was a second ago now, but going back to those 2 kills, a very nasty play from Coco Slayer and the set. The Cassante snowballing and hitting that Q, knocking them both towards them, just to get grabbed and then W'd by the set. Quite a nasty wombo combo. A lot of tankiness and a lot of damage from these two from Flowers in Autumn here, so definitely going to be a little bit difficult for Extra Thick and Yaoi Addicts, but as you can see, they are very speedy and very small, so actually getting hit might be a little bit difficult. But yeah, Pasta Lover going up but missing the grab, getting harassed by Extra Thick there, but not doing enough damage from Extra Thick to take the Pasta Lover out. However, Extra Thick taking a big set W there, taking a big chunk out of his health, but Yaoi Addicts got caught in the fray but just managed to jump out there. Very well played from them. Skinny, as we say on here, very, very skinny from them, but surviving with very little health.
Yeah, that's not going to have them be the best prepared to take on another fight here, and Pasta Lover does jump into the fray. It's going to take down Extra Thick, and Yaoi Addict as well will fall. It's now 4-1 to Flowers in Autumn, and they're going to make some further progress on that first turret. In fact, it will fall, and it is going to be a big, big advantage now for Flowers in Autumn. 4-1 on the kills, and they have a turret down, potentially even start to work on that second turret. Yaoi Addict and Extra Thick, though, both have just spawned, and they immediately fly back into the fray. They do get a little bit of chip damage on that second turret. Meanwhile, I don't even believe Yaoi Addicts have even been able to make any work on blue team's first turret here. However, Yaoi Addicts now focusing on Pasta Lover. Coco Slayer as well, very, very low. Pasta Lover will just about fall there, shut down by Extra Thick, and it will be a team wipe for Yaoi Addicts here. And now for about 20 seconds here, Flowers in Autumn will be totally out of commission here. 4-3 now the scoreboard, and soon enough, as they make a beeline for their opponent's territory here, albeit blocked by some minions. They are now going to finally get, you'd imagine, some chip damage on that first turret, and they do. And they are making some big work on it, and they destroy the first turret. They all but even things up here with a first turret destroyed, and even making some work with some chip damage on Flowers and Autumn's second turret there. So all of a sudden a big comeback there for Yowie Addicts recovering here, but now forced to retreat on lower HP here. A snowball does miss that from Pasta Lover. Extra Thick still trying to get some long range damage. Of course, these two as Giants unable to get much long range damage, but if Pasta Lover can keep jumping on Yowie Addict like that, then long range combat will not be something he'll become familiar with. Yowie Addict's forced to retreat on less than half HP, and now it is all Flowers and Autumn once again, as Coco Slayer goes unstoppable there very briefly, but to no avail. Pasta Lover forced to retreat, as well as Coco Slayer, Extra Thick, and Yowie Addicts coming a bit on the advantage here. So not quite able to do some damage to that second turret for Flowers in Autumn here. Now again in something of a stalemate. It's just about advantage Team Blue, but I think Yowie Addicts have done very well to come back from what was a very down and out situation.
Yeah, Cassante proving why he is such a nuisance. No matter how many times you tickle or poke him, he just doesn't take damage. While when he gets on you, he does insane amounts of damage himself, while also providing lots of CC. The Camille ult saving the Extra Thick there, making lots of damage on the Cassante, and managing to get the double kill. A little bit of an uneasy play from Flowers and Autumn there, just unable to lock down the really small, fast Camille. And look at them with that speed, just running for that second turret.
That is a massive play there, and that as well brings the scoreboard 5-4 in favor of Yowie Addicts recovering, and they will soon, once they clear these minions, Flowers and Autumn powerless to stop them. Still not respawn, they now do. And Coco Slayer immediately jumps in. Extra Thick powerless to stop them really, unless he can continue to make damage on that turret, but shut down by Coco Slayer there, and a blue turret is destroyed though. So now we have two interesting dynamics as Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover lead on the kill board, and it will be 25 seconds before Yowie Addicts are back in this game. But of course, a second turret destroyed does ultimately advance the Yowie Addicts course to winning and sweeping this match here. But here come Pasta Lover and Coco Slayer, albeit very, very begrudgingly slowly here towards that second turret. Yowie Addicts will respawn here, both of them. They start to make some work on that second turret. They'll be extremely hard to kill as Giants, but Extra Thick and Yowie Addicts are able to palm them away for the time being and preserve that second turret just for the moment. And they're doing some really, really decent damage to Coco Slayer and Pasta Lover. Both forced to retreat. Rooted now is Pasta Lover. They try to retaliate, but again, totally immobilized. And Yowie Addict takes down Pasta Lover, and Coco Slayer now in a 2v1 may well be very much in danger and does get taken down. Now 7-6 to Yowie Addicts, and now they're going to make a beeline for that inhibitor. Is it another very quick victory for Yowie Addicts to make a sweep of sweeps in round one? Extra Thick's going to do all the damage to destroy that blue inhibitor, and Yowie Addicts recovering are going to sweep match 2 in week 1. And to top off week 1, round 1, it is a sweep of sweeps. Team Ultimus and Yowie Addicts recovering victorious in week 1.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Flowers and Autumn there, as when they played against the Cassandra, they didn't have many tank busting options. But Camille does max health true damage. She does max health magic damage. The Caitlyn got that Blade of the Ruined King, which does max health, current health physical damage. So they just had lots of ways to get rid of that HP and ways to get away from being CC'd by both Set and Cassante. They were so fast and so nimble. They were just able to like run away or run around, and it was just a very, very quick game. Indeed, I think that game might have been just a little bit faster than the first game. But yeah, unfortunate for Flowers and Autumn, but not badly played from them. They got really close to that inhibitor. If only they pushed for that turret a little bit more, as the tanks, they can tank a few turret shots. But yeah, but well played, but a little bit unfortunate champion pick wise. Yeah.
Definitely. So that will round off week one of the new Hive Esports League of Legends series. I say definitely an action-packed start to proceedings, and we've got 8 more weeks of competition to come as well. 5 more weeks of the league phase. So as it stands right now, Yaoi Addicts recovering and Team Ultimus will share first place on the top of the table in the league phase. Nat and Joe and Sveti Vyzheshny will find themselves 5th and 6th here. So they are currently the elimination teams as well. So I suppose if the world ended today, Seal9 and Grumpies are through to the next round automatically. But as things stand, it is Team Ultimus and Yaoi Addicts in the catbird seat to advance to the semi-finals. But just to cap things off, George, your overall thoughts on what's been a very action-packed first week of League of Legends?
Yeah, it went really slow and then just like gradually got faster and faster and faster. Some very dynamic and interesting games from Flowers in Autumn and Yaoi Addicts. Had a lot of back and forwards, and at times it was really like, who is going to win this? But some unfortunate misplays, maybe a 5-minute Cassante guide was needed as opposed to a 3-minute guide. But yeah, for a first time playing a character, did really well. But yeah, just unfortunate again with that Camille pick, just a little bit too fast, especially with that Giant Slayer as well. Just able to do like 30% more damage on all of her attacks to those tanks who were unfortunately giants. But yeah, it was some fun augments and some fun games. Hopefully we can have some more dynamic games next week. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to cap off week one of the Hive Esports League of Legends Aram Mayhem 2v2 series in its first round of the league phase. Thank you very much, firstly, for watching here on twitch.tv/Hive Esports Games. Of course, make sure to follow our socials, of which are on the ticker just down below. We have Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And of course, be making sure to follow those socials as well. Thank you very much, of course, to my co-caster, George, to our production team that sit behind the monitor at the moment, to everyone watching and competing as well, to our 8 lovely contestants that joined us this evening. Thank you very much for watching. Have a very safe evening, and goodbye.